Being a Woman and Black in America by Jocelyn Marables. Sojourner Truth, Ain't I a Woman? That man over there says that women need to be helped in the carriages and lifted over ditches and to have the best place everywhere. Nobody ever helps me in the carriages or over mud puddles or gives me any best place. And ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arm. I have plowed and planted and gathered in the barns, and ain't no man could heed me. And ain't I a woman? Today with Trinity Thomas, a freshman here at Edward Waters College. She's here today to explain to me a little bit what her take on being a black woman in the United States is like. So my first question to you, Trinity, is what are some things you've confronted as a black woman in the United States?
I think the main thing I've confronted as a black woman in the United States is, as well as a lot of the people that I'm close with who are black women, is that we've all had some sort of like transformation or moment where we felt like we really like came into our blackness. And I know that sounds weird, but it's like when you grow up in a world that you're not really centered in, or like a country that you're not really centered in, you kind of have to like slowly transform into who you really are and like to just claim your identity. So that's like a really unique experience that I found being a black woman in the United States. And as far as like the oppressive things that I've confronted, I think it's a very unique experience because not only are we black, but we're also women as well. So it's like the two things that we face going with that in this country. In a country that's made for people who are white and male, you know, it's kind of hard navigating the world as a black woman, but I think once you find your path and find your place, it becomes a lot easier.
Thank you for that. And how do you feel that your experience as a black woman is similar to that of a black man?
The only thing, in my opinion, that is really similar to black men is just our blackness. Like, at the most basic level, that's really the only thing that we really have in common, because there are just so many different things that come with being a black woman. Like, one thing that we have in common as far as our blackness would be like the way that we're viewed, and like I think we still have that like family unity feeling. Like when you get together with black people, whether it's black men or women, you just feel that like family and that warm, that warm feeling. So I think we have that in common.
What do you feel are the largest reasons that there is the feeling of difference between black men and black women in the United States, or just in general?
I think being a man, you're going to navigate the world as a man, so of course you're going to take on like oppressive tendencies. So I think the difference between black men and black women is that although we're both black men still have a male privilege that they sometimes abuse, but sometimes they use, just like how white people can use their privilege, sometimes black men do use their male privilege, but a lot of times black men, they take on the same oppressive mindsets as other people. So as a black woman, it's like you're navigating the world as a woman and while being black. So it's like sometimes black men, like they understand, but they can't really fully get it. So that's the main difference to me.
Thank you. And what was the situation or a time where you felt that being both black and a woman caused you to face a certain obstacle?
I think the biggest thing was being in high school and like applying for a bunch of jobs senior year and everything, and actually coming into the workplace of like all the different jobs that I had in high school. It's like all of my coworkers, like I had like one black girl coworker, like the rest of them were like either white men or white women. And it's just being like at school, you're around your friends, you're around people who are like you, and then going into the workplace and being around these people who are nothing like you is very, very different. So I find that to be a challenge, like even just socially, like people, you can just be having the most basic conversation and people won't get it because our experiences are just so different.
Thank you. And how did you overcome that obstacle?
I think that's an obstacle that I'm not really able to overcome right now, but I think once I get older and I get the things that I need and I'm able to create my own workspace with people who are like me, then that won't be an obstacle anymore. Because I feel like the biggest thing as a black woman is to surround myself with other black women. So once I'm able to do that and I have like the credentials and everything that I need, I won't have to work in a place where no one really understands.
And my last question to you is, how has being a black woman impacted your platonic and romantic relationships?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say that a lot of people would call me like rude or whatever for feeling like the only people who I could really have close friendships with were black people. And that's not to say, like, I do have friends of other races, but it's like.
So Trinity, how do you feel that being a black woman has impacted your platonic and romantic relationships?
I think being a black woman makes my social circle a little more like small and specific, because it's not that I can't have friends of other races, but it's that I feel there's a certain like connection, like I mentioned earlier, when you have other black people. And I think the biggest thing that we want as people is to be understood. And I think you can kind of sympathize, or you can like relate a little bit, but you won't be able to truly understand something unless you've been through it as well. And I think on the most basic level, black women have relatively similar experiences, so it makes it a lot easier to have a nice, like, close-knit circle of black women. And I think every black woman would really benefit from just a nice circle of black women friends. Like, that's just like the best thing ever. And you can still have other people that you're friends with, you know what I mean? But it's just, as far as my platonic relationships, like my homegirls back home, like those are my girls. Like we just have this really close knit circle, and it's like I think every black woman could benefit from that because it's just very, very necessary. And as far as my romantic relationships, I would say being a black woman, you have to kind of like once again be a little bit more specific, because a lot of people, they won't understand, or they won't even try to sympathize. So I think it's important to be with someone that at least tries to understand you as a black woman, is sensitive to your experiences. So I think it makes it harder because you can't be with just anyone. You have to be with someone who's willing to work with you and understand you. So
Thank you for being willing to share your experiences and for being interviewed today. Thank you, Trinity. I'm here today with Jeremy Ward, a freshman here at Edward Waters College, and she will be answering a few questions concerning her experience as a black woman in America. So, Jeremy, my first question to you is, what are some special things you have confronted as a black woman in the U.S.?
I think that black women are often stereotyped way more than any other ethnicity group. We are often seen as loud, and we get this, some people give us a perception of being ghetto or maybe less educated than other races. So it often becomes harder for us to like find not different opportunities, but just the based on like judgment, what or how others people perceive us.
Thank you for that response. And my next question to you is, do you feel that how has your experience as a black woman in America been the same to that of black men?
I think some black men are often a lot of black men are often stereotyped also. Um, so it just comes to where people judge before they actually know you or know how you are as a person, or they may judge you because of your looks and not because of your intelligence and stuff like that. Yeah.
And how has your experience in America differed from that of a black man?
Um, Not only do we struggle uh, with being black, but it's also with being a woman. So it's where it in the like it's like a totem pole kind of thing. So it's like where okay, a black man could probably run this position maybe better than a black woman because we also are women, and uh we're there's like a unequal opportunity when it comes to that. So.
And can you give me a specific situation in your personal life or a situation where you felt that being both black and a woman was causing a particular problem in your life or obstacle, better yet?
Um, I went to predominantly white schools growing up. So when it came to certain situations, oftentimes I could be the only black girl in like the advanced classes. So oftentimes that it felt not only because there are many guys who can be more, I guess, assertive in the classroom and stuff like that, but also many white people um, who may be seen as more intelligent and stuff like that. So maybe when you try to say your opinion, in very rare cases, but you say your opinion, it might have been perceived, as well as if a white man or something like that would say it.
Okay, and how did you overcome that obstacle?
Really, I know my capabilities and I know how intelligent I am. So it was basically where I'm going to say what I'm going to say and I'm going to show you how smart I am. And it was, if you feel another way or if you feel like this person's better, I'm not going to argue back and forth with you because I know my capabilities and I'm going to prove you wrong. It's just a matter of like proving somebody wrong.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I have one last question to you. So, as a Black woman, I know that sometimes when it comes to romantic or even friendship relationships, that being both Black and a woman can be an area of conflict. So, what was a time that you felt like both of those things were causing issues or problems in your life, and how did you confront them, or how do you deal with that now as a younger lady?
First, so you're saying like, and stuff like that. So how do you deal with that being Black and a woman? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I started to see like, okay, everybody has a preference, but when it came to being Black and a woman, we sometimes the other men made it seem as like, oh, Black girls, they too much to deal with. They got an attitude. They got too much mouth and stuff like that. But it's all a matter of a person's heart, and it's not a matter of these stereotypes that people put on Black women. So it's okay. Well, if you think that way, then you can think that way. But I know me, and I know I'm beautiful, and I know Black is beautiful. So it's your loss. I kind of see it like that.
Thank you, Journey, for sharing your expertise and experiences as a Black woman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I start to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride of my steps, the curl of my lips. I am a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me.